Most people don't quit because they can't do it. They quit because continuing would force them to confront who they are and who they aren't. Setbacks don't stop you, they expose you. Hey y'all, welcome to MINDSHiFT Monday. This is not motivation, this is not reassurance, this is not a pep talk. Today is about the moment where quitting starts to sound reasonable and how most people lie to themselves right there. Oh yeah, welcome to the MINDSHiFT Monday. I'm your buddy, your friend, your doctor, the guy, Robert Kennedy III, RK3. That's me. Hey, Milton Dodd, what's going on? So glad that you're here on Instagram today. Don Clerk Lewis. Danny, how you doing? What's going on YouTube? Dr. Lorenda, so glad that you're here. CMB 909, so glad that you are here. Dr. or C. Marie B, so glad that you all are here. Oh yeah, we're getting ready to rock and roll. If you want to know when we are live, text live to 240-557-8679. And do me a favor, hang out with us, go deeper on the after show. Level up at 8 a.m. MINDSHiFTMonday.com/Zoom. Yes. Guess what, y'all? It's time that we had a conversation about why you rationalize your way out of winning. Y'all ready to do this thing? Let's jump on in. Come on. Hey y'all, it is me, RK3. Welcome back, MINDSHiFT Monday. I want you to answer something silently as we start here. Where in your life are you calling it a setback when it's actually a decision point? What does that mean? Let me ask it differently. Where in your life are you feeling like you lost or you failed when in reality it's just a point in the journey that requires you to make a different decision? Come on in the chat with me this morning. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Oh yeah, so glad that y'all are here. If you've never joined me on the MINDSHiFT Monday Level Up, make sure that you do that today. Head on over to MINDSHiFTMonday.com/Zoom, MINDSHiFTMonday.com/Zoom. If you've never joined, after the show, we walk through some stuff based on what we talked about in the show today. So I want to invite you to do that. MINDSHiFTMonday.com/Zoom. Oh yeah. And we are on Instagram today. We're on LinkedIn. We are on the YouTube, and we are on the Facebook. Guess what, y'all? I'm in Maryland, and we had a storm this weekend, and it is icy outside. I tried to get out of my driveway this morning, and yeah, it just was not working. The streets are not plowed. Yeah. So anyway, that is still a beautiful thing because we got our electricity working. I'm able to broadcast to you this morning, and I got warmth. I got light. The sun is shining outside. Life is good. Life is beautiful. So let's jump in. Let's talk this morning. Let's talk for a moment. Have you ever had this moment where nothing external was wrong? There was no crisis. There was no collapse. There was no dramatic failure. There was just resistance. And that's when quitting becomes intellectual. It sounds thoughtful. It sounds mature. It even sounds strategic. And that's the dangerous part. Let me break down my workouts to you. Every time I do a HIIT workout, I have a moment. And it's some variation of how hard should I push myself? Right? I do these workouts on my phone app with the Apple Fitness app, right? And the instructors on the Apple Fitness app, they're going at a certain pace, and they're telling me to do something. And quite often, I have a moment where I want to stop. Come on, y'all. Is it just me? I've got a moment where I want to stop. I'm doing jumping jacks, or I'm doing bear crawls. Bear crawls are like the worst. They're the bane for me, right? I've got bear crawls, or for those of you that like burpees, there's a moment where the instructor is going at their pace and they're telling you what to do, and they're like, follow me, follow me. But you want to stop. Now, if I zoom into that moment, there are a lot of decisions happening in that moment. My body feels the fatigue, and it tells me that I'm running out of energy. And anytime I feel the fatigue, anytime I feel like I'm running out of energy, there's some choices that take place. There's some choices that take place. Choice number one, when I'm working out and I'm running out of energy and my body is fatigued, choice number one is stop. Stop. Irks. And here's what happens every time you are presented with a choice. Typically, you're also presented with a rationalization of that choice. So choice number one for me is stop. And the rationalization for that choice is, yeah, you can do this on another day. That's choice number one. Choice number two that hits me is, stop trying as hard. You don't have to lift your leg as high. You don't have to do those knee-high runs. Yeah, you can get your knees up about quarter of the way. That's choice number two. And as I said, every choice, there's a rationalization that accompanies that choice. So in this case, my rationalization is you need to conserve energy for the next exercise. Yeah, I don't need to go as hard on this one because there's another one coming up and I gotta save my energy for that one. Yeah. That's choice number two. Choice number three is keep going, keep pushing. Right. And my thought process or rationalization there is you might not have enough time to rest between this exercise and the next. And some of the time I choose number three. I choose the keep going and keep pushing. I'll be honest, there are times where I don't choose three and I don't push and I slack off. I don't do it in the moment. I don't consciously say in the moment, oh, you know what, I'm going to slack off. What happens is that I lean into the rationalization. So why do we rationalize? Why do we rationalize? Well, we rationalize because on some level, it protects our ego. And in most cases, self-protection, ego protection, feels like winning. I won because I preserved myself from experiencing pain. Sure, we might go back and forth over time. Yeah, sometimes we rationalize, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we embrace pain, sometimes we don't. But over time, our comfort zones convince us that we won. The more that I lean into the comfort zone, the more that I embrace the rationalization, is the more that our comfort zones convince us that we won. So I choose choice number three and I keep going, right? I keep going. I keep pushing. And then the next exercise begins. So when the next exercise begins, guess what happens? The choice cycle begins all over. So the next exercise begins. I get fatigued. I'm running out of energy. Choice number one, stop. Irks. And as before, right alongside that choice is a rationalization. Hey, you know what? This is just Apple Fitness recording. No one is forcing you to do this all at once. You can stop right now. You can pause this thing and you can resume later on. That's a choice. That's choice number one. Choice number two is, you know what? Keep going. This is good for my body. I'm not going to do this tomorrow, though. Tomorrow is a rest day. Tomorrow, I'm just going to take a break. Doesn't that sound real good? Doesn't that make sense? Doesn't that feel like it is rational? So in this case, I choose number two. And then I repeat this cycle. And sometimes it's less thoughtful than others, right? I get to exercise number three, and then there's choice rationalization, and I get these micro decisions all the way until I complete the workout. Now, there are times in the workout where my body physically needs to break and I can't go anymore. And so now I've got another decision. Stop. With the rationalization that it's okay. No one else is watching you. You don't have to compete with anybody else. Have you ever reached that point in your workout or in a situation in life where you're like, I just can't go anymore? You feel like you can't step. I was in my race. This is my shirt from my 100-mile bike ride. And there was a point in my bike ride where I felt like even if I pushed, my bike just wasn't going any faster. I had a choice to make. Choice number two, keep going, but at half the effort. The opposite of what Big Daddy Kane said, for those of you that grew up in the 80s and 90s. Right? Keep going at half effort. And here's the rationalization. Something's better than nothing. You ever said that to yourself? Something's better than nothing. Or choice number three, keep going with full effort. But here's what happens on this one. Here's what happens in this case. In this case, instead of having a rationalization, you have a realization. Have you ever had that realization that how you do one thing is how you do everything? I'm going to give everything I've got right now because this is a defining moment. This is a decision moment. And if I half step on this right now, that determines how I do other things. If I quit right now, if I stop right now, if I rationalize my way out of this right now, that colors how I make decisions going forward. Here's the thing that I want you to know. If you keep pushing through rationalization, you eventually come to realization. And realization is where you get access to the result of your courage. When you stop or pause, there are these battles that we don't often talk about, right? And they can feel emotional. I hope y'all are with me this morning. Dr. Lorenda's like, remember a song, Take Your Time. Take your time. Yeah, but let's talk about that a little bit. When you take your time or you stop or you pause, there are these battles that we don't talk about and they can feel emotional. Sometimes when you stop or when you pause to think, you can feel there are these like micro failures, setbacks or incompletes. And setbacks feel rational, right? And part of the reason we hate setbacks is because we've been conditioned to feel like they are announcements, right? We think setbacks are this pronouncement of your failure. And so we feel like we need to fight that by being just as loud with our comebacks, right? Because we failed and we tried to hide, but it didn't work. Everybody pointed at us, at least so we think in our mind. We're like, okay, you know what? I need to be loud with this comeback. And people think that grit. Angela Duckworth has this great book called Grit. And people think that grit means being loud, passionate, fired up. But in her book, Angela Duckworth says Enthusiasm is common, endurance is rare. And here's what happens. Most people can start loud, but very few can stay quiet and committed. I hope I'm making sense to you this morning. I hope you're on this journey with me. Right? And this quiet this quiet committed endurance testing time is called the middle. And the middle is often messy. The middle isn't hard because it hurts. The middle is hard because no one's clapping. It's hard because your progress is invisible. It's hard because this is where you question your identity. It's hard because your ego isn't being fed. And the middle asks a question, and this question can be brutal. Laspa Kigali, how you doing this morning? Kendra Q. Dodd, how you doing this morning on Instagram? IJANYC on Instagram, how you doing this morning? When you're in the middle, there's a question that is asked, and it says, if this doesn't look impressive, do I still stay? If I can't show it on my Instagram stories, do I still stay? If I can't see the before and the after picture immediately or quickly, do I still stay? Here's where we take a right turn. You might think that I'm saying you should never, ever, 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 ever quit. In fact, I'm saying something totally different. I'm saying that setbacks are moments where you make decisions, and decisions ought to be made based on realizations instead of rationalizations. Right? You're going to go through life. Life is going to challenge you. Life is going to test you. And in those tests, you can have rationalizations and realizations. Ooh, what's the difference? What's the difference? Well, here it is. Rationalizations, did I put the emphasis on the right syllable? Rationalization, yeah, okay. Rationalization protects your comfort, even when it costs you growth. I'll say that once more. A rationalization protects comfort, even when it costs you growth. But a realization reveals truth, even when it costs you comfort. Let's dig deeper. A rationalization, it sounds logical. It sounds polished, right? When discomfort comes up or when discomfort shows up, rationalizations arrive quickly. You don't need to do this right now. Nobody's judging you. Nobody's watching you. You can do this tomorrow. You're not competing against anybody. It arrives quickly. When the tension comes up, rationalization explains it away quickly instead of resolving it. Rationalization makes quitting or avoiding feel reasonable. But here's what realizations do. Realizations, they arrive quietly. They arrive over time. They arrive through endurance. They feel clarifying, but they may not necessarily feel soothing. You realize that you need to work harder if you want to get that beach body. That's not a soothing thought necessarily. You realize that you have to go through the storm in order to get to the calm on the other side. That's not necessarily soothing. Realizations reduce confusion, but sometimes they may increase responsibility. Yeah, you may gain clarity, but you may have to do hard things. Realization may make the next step clear, but not easy. A realization sounds like, this is uncomfortable, but now I see. Right? Realizations lead to ownership. Realizations lead to action and decisions. Realizations lead to a change in behavior. Rationalizations cause you to lean back into what was comfortable and what was sameness. Realizations don't protect your ego, they confront it. So if we think about our mindset, and as we talk about on this show, the mind shift, the old belief, the rationalizing belief says, if it's this hard, something's wrong. If it's hard, something's wrong with it. It shouldn't be this hard. Nothing should be this hard. But the realization belief says, if it's this quiet, something's being built. If there's a little pain involved in it, if there's an obstacle and I'm seeing something is being built. There's growth taking place. We're getting close to the end. We're getting close to the end. So as we do at the end of every show, or close to the end, we have what I call my actions for transformation. Melagi Rush, so glad that you're here on Instagram. So glad that you're here. Dr. Lorenda says, realization makes you see the truth. Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's get into our actions. Let's get into our actions of transformation. So action number 1, stop calling it, or don't call it a setback. Don't call it a setback. Okay, sorry. My LL. Here we go. Not cute. Okay, sorry. Let me focus. All right. Don't call it a setback. Reframe your language. A setback implies that something went wrong. Instead of saying that it's a setback, ask instead, is this actually resistance? Great book by Stephen Pressfield, The War of Art, talking about resistance and what it actually is. Is this resistance? Resistance is required for growth. Is this the cost of staying? Right? Growth doesn't announce itself. It tests you silently. Action number 2. Decide what you are willing to be bored for. Decide what you're willing to be bored for. Most people don't quit from pain. They quit because there's the pain plus the boredom with no validation. Right? Nobody wants to do, well, I shouldn't say nobody. Most of us don't want to do the boring thing because there's no shoulder stroking. There's no ego stroking. There's no validation. I'm willing to go through a little bit of pain if I can see the result and I get validation. Right? Imagine if I'm in the gym daily. And every time I'm in the gym, as soon as I finish that workout, somebody says, "Oh my gosh, I see a new muscle. You look great. Oh my gosh, I see it every day." You're willing to put up with that pain. But to go to the gym every day, not see a difference, and not get validation immediately, most people quit from the boredom with no validation. So you got to decide what you're willing to do over and over and over and over again without the validation. Decide what you're willing to be bored for. Write this down. I'm willing to be bored, unseen, and unimpressed for blank. If you can't fill in that blank, that may be an issue. But what are you willing to be bored, unseen, and unimpressed for? Let's look at the last action. Install a non-negotiable rule, right? Not motivation, not doing it because you're motivated, not emotional, but a rule. And your rule might be, I don't quit in the middle. I don't make exit decisions on tired weeks. If I'm fatigued this week, if I'm mentally exhausted this week, I don't make decisions about quitting on that week. That's your non-negotiable rule. Another rule might be, I only reassess after being consistent for X amount of time. I only reassess after consistency. If I have not done it 20 times, then I don't quit. I don't reassess. Right? Because grit isn't heroic. It's based on just doing, repeating. It's procedural. So those are the three. Don't call it a setback. Decide what you're willing to be bored for, and then install a non-negotiable rule. Listen, if you're considering quitting something that you used to say mattered, then we want you to separate fear, ego, and the truth. And we'll walk through a little bit of that. We'll give you some time to do that in the after show today, right? Guess what, my friends? Setbacks don't care how capable you are. They only care how honest you're willing to be. Remember that we said that setbacks are not failure. Setbacks are not an obstacle. They're not a pause, or they're not an end. They're only a pause where you decide that you're going to adjust or make a decision about how to move forward, even if that forward is boring. Stay or don't stay. Just stop lying to yourself about why. You want to know when we're live? Text live to 240-557-8679. All right. You want to go deeper? Join me on the after show. Thank you, Dr. Lorenda, for saying that it's a good show. Yeah, we had some fun today. You want to go a little bit deeper? Join me on the after show. Head on over to mindshiftmonday.com/Zoom. I'd love to see you there. Let's do a little bit of an exercise together. Let's walk through this thing further. All right. I'll see you on the next episode of, hold on one second. Let me make sure that my music is playing properly. MindShift Monday. See you next time. Peace. Tell a friend. Come on through.